Hi guys, it's Lisa Unger, and I am here today for the next episode, for lack of a better word, of Three Good Things, with this amazing powerhouse duo of sister writers. Their most recent book is The Wife Stalker. This is such a gorgeous book, you guys. It's so shiny. Awesome, and I absolutely loved it. And so I'm here with Lynne Constantine and Valerie Constantine. Combined, they're Liv Constantine. See how that works?
Right.
I love it. Oh, you can see my ring light shining in the.
I know. I spent my off for that. Yeah, in the glasses.
Secrets of the world. And so we're here to just hang out a little bit and talk about three of our favorite things. I'm going to ask these guys about a favorite book, a favorite movie or show, and a comfort recipe, which is what we've been kind of talking about here. I've been talking to a lot of my author pals. It's like I always view myself as an extreme introvert, which people always are like, no, you're not an introvert, but I am. Yeah, I know. I could tell. An extreme introvert, which only means that we're, kind of nourished by solitude. That's how we recharge our batteries. But maybe I'm not as much of an introvert as I thought I was. Like maybe not this much of an introvert. And I realized how much I miss hanging out with my friends at various different locations. So I'm thrilled that we get to do this at least, and share this and talk to our reader pals. So welcome, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here. Where are you right now? Where are you located?
So I'm in Milford, Connecticut. It's just about an hour and a half outside of New York.
Okay.
And I'm in Annapolis. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. You're in Annapolis. So, Lynne, how are things going for you right now? Are you still totally on lockdown, or are things slowly starting to open up? Or
things are starting to open up. I guess about a week and a half ago, the restaurants are open with outside seating. You have to wear a mask. So protocols are in place, but things are slowly opening. I mean, we've still mostly been at home. I can't remember the last time I was at a restaurant. I mean, I dream about it a lot, but it's not happening. Taking a lot of walks, and our kids, we have college aged kids, and they're starting to see friends and do more. But it was about 2 months that we were seeing no one. And so now with the weather being nicer, we're very happily socializing a bit more and trying to get as much back to normal as possible.
Awesome. What about you, Valerie? How are things for you?
Things are about the same in terms of openings, although some counties where where it was a little more extreme haven't opened quite as many things, but seeing restaurants with outside seating. We too have been pretty much at home writing and
writing and reading
has helped in that regard. Lots of gardening. Lots of gardening, and I've become obsessive where even if I go outside to walk the dog, I have to pull a weed up before we start our walk. And we have done some things with neighbors where we've just sat in the backyard because fortunately the weather's nice now.
Yeah.
And so we sit 6 feet apart. We even all brought our own food and everything. So we've been trying to, be responsible in that way.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me, the biggest downside for me, I guess, is that my kids are scattered.
Oh, yeah.
And grandkids. So we have kids in Canada and Colorado and in Florida. We have some here too. So we do a lot of Zoom and FaceTime. With them. So.
Yeah, that's been hard. My parents are in Pennsylvania. My brother's in DC, and we had some big events, or would have had some big events down here. My 50th birthday, and my daughter graduated from 8th grade, and so everybody was planning to be down here twice this spring, and so nobody's been down at all. So everybody's kind of missed each other now. So that's a hard part of this. I mean, it's obviously so many people are suffering and have sustained such terrible losses of loved ones and health and jobs. I feel like any mention of my sort of luxury hardship is whatever, it's okay.
Right.
This is a a place of, gratitude for us for sure. But, I think we're all just sort of, feeling the various losses, large and small. And yeah, but we'll move on from that. And we'll talk about, so many of us are, I always find like it's such a blessing to be a writer and also to be a reader. Most of us are lifelong readers, and we've always had this ability to kind of lose ourselves in a great book, and that's a real blessing, especially in times like this. So I was going to ask each of you, is there something that you're reading right now that really has just kind of like transported you, or is there something that you go back to again and again for comfort? Like I'm kind of like that. I can reread and rewatch things all the time. So is there something that you go back to, or something that you love right now? Lynn, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. So for fiction, what I just finished, is Don't Look for Me by Wendy. It's so riveting. And so, I mean, I love Wendy's writing anyway, but what I really loved about this book was it wasn't just a thriller, although it was a very unbearably tense thriller, but the depth of character in this book is amazing. So it doesn't give much away for me to say that it starts with a woman who is grief-stricken over the loss of her daughter, who she accidentally hit with her car, and so she blames herself, and she goes off and is really trying to grapple with how she's going to continue moving forward with life. Her family's falling apart, and so it appears to her family as though she has walked away and left them, which is why it's the Don't Look for Me. But really, she's abducted. So it alternates between her narrative and her daughter, her older daughter, who feels guilty because they fought the last time that they spoke. So, and you're seeing as what's happening. So I read it, I think in a day and a half. I just couldn't put it down, and it was amazing. So that was my thing. And then in terms of a go-to for all the time, I mean, I think the inspirational thing is the Bible, that especially during these times, to maybe look at a Psalm or Proverbs or something to just kind of think a little bit beyond the temporal. So that would be my second thing.
Awesome.
So, thrillers and God,
There you go.
That's about right.
Hey, the Bible is quite the thriller. I mean,
it is.
Talk about a twist narrative there.
Yeah.
What about you, Valerie?
Well, I just picked up this. I just started this book because I read a terrific review that made it sound really like it would be a good read. It's nonfiction, and it is called In Pursuit of Disobedient Women.
Oh.
And the author is Dion Searcy. She, what the book is about is sort of a memoir of her time as the bureau chief in West Africa for the New York Times. So she her husband at the time, when they left New York, worked for the Bronx Zoo. And she talks about the Brooklyn something expressway, how the commute home that he had every night and how frustrated he would be after this, hour and a half drive, and just the whole thing of having 3 young kids and being in Brooklyn and the difficulty in just sort of surviving. And so when this position came up, they talked about it, and they decided that they would go, that they would, she would try for it. She got the job. She had twins, and then a 4-year-old who just cried and cried when they said, we're moving to Africa. He was not happy about that. But it's just a fascinating book. And of course, she has seen things with Boko Haram, and just the time that she's in Africa was so interesting. And as I said, I'm not all the way through it yet.
Oh, wow.
And then for something that I just absolutely loved, and I've been recommending it and even bought for friends of mine, is Beth Kalb's book, which also is not fiction, called Maybe No One Will Tell You This But Me. And it is the relationship, she talks about the relationship between her and her grandmother. And it's written, it's sort of a style that I would say is almost experimental. Lynn, you read it too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a little, going back and forth, and some of it from the grandmother's point of view, even though you know from the outset that the grandmother has passed. It was a really beautiful story. And then, yes, a part memoir, part narrative, part fiction, jumping around a little bit to generations, but very, very touching. And if you want a good cry, it's a good pick.
But very hard, you know, it's just
Heartwarming cry, an uplifting cry.
Heartwarming cry, a cleansing, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that I read a lot of nonfiction as well, but I find that nonfiction reading really informs my fiction. So I sort of, I always enjoy thrillers, and I'm sort of I'm non-discriminatory. I read across genre, but I really read a lot of nonfiction as well. So those are my, I think, my first two nonfiction recommendations. So that's great. That really rounds out our TBR list.
Oh, good.
Hearing good things. Excellent. So also, as great lovers of story, of course, we consume our story in many different formats. We read, most of us love the theater. Obviously now these days we're sort of, in lockdown, in love with our television. And television shows and movies, and so is there anything right now that you're watching that you absolutely love, or again, like something that you kind of just watch and rewatch when you need a little comfort? Valerie, do you want to start?
Sure. We just finished watching Normal People.
Oh,
right, which was based on the book by Sally Rooney.
Yeah.
And so we binged that one for sure. That was terrific.
Yeah.
Set in Ireland.
Is that on Netflix, or?
It was on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Hulu. And it is the story. I wouldn't recommend watching it with young children at all. Mm-hmm. It's sort of graphic.
Yeah.
Sexually. You started watching it too, didn't you, Lynn? Did you?
No, I haven't had a chance. I wrote it down on my list, but no, I haven't started it yet.
It's a terrific story. It's set in Ireland, and it's the story of a young couple. They're in high school when they meet, and she's this very wealthy, brilliant student, but she's everyone thinks she's weird, and so so no one talks to her, and she's an outcast. And the fellow that falls for her is also really smart, but he's the jock and he's popular, and he is embarrassed to have anyone know that they're going out with each other, so it's a secret. But it follows them through college when they both go to Trinity, and they're really doing well in school. And then sort of it's a reversal when they go to college, and it just goes beyond, and it's a beautiful, beautiful love story.
Yeah, I'll put that on my list too. What about you, Lynn?
We have one episode left of Defending Jacob, which is
last night.
So, did you finish it? Oh, don't. Well, I know you won't tell. I mean, we actually, it's a good. Yeah, I read the book, so I don't know if it's right. But my husband didn't read the book, so he's completely I think going to be shocked by the ending if they follow the same ending. But yeah, isn't it amazing? I think the adaptation is just fantastic. So we're watching that, and then and the actors are terrific, and it's very emotional just seeing this young boy, all of the stuff that it hits you as a mother on so many different levels. So we're watching that, and then we just found a new show on Acorn, a new thing Valerie had, and the show is No Offense, and it's a police procedural, but the police captain is just so witty and endearing, and it's set in England, so that's another one. I think there are 3 or 4 seasons to that.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. I love British crime shows. They're so
yeah.
This one's terrific.
Yeah. Oh, great. That sounds fantastic. So are either of you, obviously another way that we actually nourish ourselves is through sort of comfort cooking. And most of us are doing so much more cooking than ever before. In my family, all 3 of us, my daughter, my husband, and I, were all cooks. We all love to cook, and we're all a little bit, we're foodies. But we're definitely cooking constantly now. which is another reason why I have enjoyed doing this, is because I've been getting a bunch of really good recipes from my from my friends. So is there anything that you're cooking right now that's just kind of your go-to easy thing, or something that you return to just for comfort, like when you're like, oh, I just really need to eat something that's like, reminds me of my mom or my grandma or whatever? Is there anything like that for you guys? Lynn, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, I feel like I am cooking all the time too, because the kids, even though they're college age, they don't remember how to like make toast or anything like that.
No.
So I have to make the eggs. And so the funny thing is that if my husband, he's doing the grocery shopping, and for a while we couldn't get any chicken. So it was like, whoa, like a huge score if he would bring chicken breasts, and that things that were so ordinary are just fabulous right now. So we're pretty basic proteins and vegetables, but I make the other day, my son asked me to make some homemade chocolate chip cookies. And so I did, I whipped up like 3 dozen of those, and I've forgotten how, nice the kitchen smells, and that kind of made everybody happy. So I think I may start doing a little bit more baking again, because I didn't have any flour.
Oh, right.
He was able to get me flour and baking soda. I mean, right.
Yeah, Chris Pavone was saying that I guess they do a lot of baking, and they had to order like a giant bulk order of flour, like for their whole neighborhood, because they could only get bulk orders from their favorite store out in Long Island. So they wound up doing like a neighborhood order of flour. It was like 20 pounds of flour or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because we couldn't find baking. I think fortunately it called for baking soda, which Rick could find, but the baking powder is like, sorry, that was like nowhere to be found. And I think I'm out of vanilla extract too, but you couldn't tell that from the cookies. So yeah, just kind of grateful for whatever we can eat, whatever we can put together.
That's an amazing thing. You didn't even realize, how much you took for granted all those staples, and that you just have giant grocery stores filled with food all the time. It's like, as an American, you just kind of don't even sometimes think about stuff like that.
Exactly.
What about you, Valerie?
Well, when it was still chilly, I was doing a lot of soups. Then we, once the weather turned, we sort of pretty much went back to the basics. But then I'm in one of the organizations that I volunteer with, they have a newsletter that comes out every week. And so people have been contributing things to it of, what they've been doing during this time, and what's been good, what they miss, what they've discovered. And so there also are recipes on there. And one woman put a recipe on. She said, this is from my grandmother. And it's really, really old. You can see by the way ketchup is spelled, because it was catsup. And it was for sloppy joes, which my kids love. And I made it, and it was yummy. I mean, it was absolutely out of this world. I don't remember the last time I had those, but boy, was it good.
Wow.
I loved it. The son who lives near me came over, and he said, oh, this is way better than that stuff, that Lloyd's stuff that you buy in the store or whatever that comes in the package. It was so great. So
great.
Send that to me. To try. I think kids would like.
Okay, it's delicious.
I love that. I love sloppy joes. There's like, it's like that sort of meaty, tomatoey, like gooey thing that's like, just total comfort food for sure.
Yeah, total.
Next time you make it, you need to make it.
Oh yeah, tater tots. Yeah.
Anyway, those are great book suggestions. Great, lots of good stuff for our watch list, and some great food ideas. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. I'm just going to remind everybody that their new book is The White Stalker, and I'm sure you can find out everything about this super twisty, engrossing thriller on their website, livconstantine.com.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there you go. And then I have to hold up my book too. It's my galley for Confessions on the 745, which comes out.
I cannot wait to read that.
I will send you a galley.
Oh, yay.
Thank you. Yes, I was hoping you would catch that hint, Lisa.
Hint. I will send one to you. And this one, everything you want to know about about me, obviously, you can find at lisaunger.com. We're all very easy to find, as we should be.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me, you guys, and good luck on your tour. I'm sure you have many more fun Zoom appearances coming up, and I kind of think it's like an interesting thing. It's an interesting moment. I feel like there's some new opportunities here to reach people who might otherwise not have been able to come to a book signing. I'm always surprised.
I think so too.
How many people have not, I've never been to a book signing. I didn't know it was this much fun, whatever. Now they can come and, sort of be there within the comfort of their own home. So I'm hoping that's like there's one positive thing that comes out of this for all of us.
I think you're right.
I agree.
Great talking
100%.
with you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Lisa.
so much. Great to see you. Bye.
Bye.